So do the words time management get you irritated? I know early on they did for me. But here's also what I found out. Being an entrepreneur, really wanted to make a difference in people's lives, while also trying to create a deeper connection with my family at home and still make myself a priority, I realized that I needed some new strategies that were really designed for entrepreneurs in mind. That's why we're making you today's video. Because when you want to excel in multiple different areas, it takes different strategies in order to make that happen. Now, I know for me personally, this really impacted the relationship with my family. Because I really wanted to create a big impact in people's lives, I would spend so much time and energy in my business because I didn't know any other way. Today, we want to share with you the strategies that helped us overcome that, create a thriving business, while also creating the legacy we truly wanted at home with our family, including finding time for ourselves and doing some of the hobbies that we really enjoyed doing. Now, before we do what a lot of other people do out there and give you more things to do, let's first start by taking some things off your plate.
Let's first identify some common time wasters that entrepreneurs should be aware of. Number one is overlearning. You're spending a lot of time trying to find a lot of information or learning about a specific thing that you're interested in. But knowledge isn't power until you actually take action. Number two is comparison. You may think of it as inspiration. You start to look at what other people are doing. However, that wastes a lot of time because what you're doing is consuming and not creating. Plus, if you're comparing yourself to others, you start to diminish your value and your worth. Number three is busy work. You're spending a lot of time doing all of these minor tasks that either don't move the needle forward or don't need to be done by you. Now, I noticed that one of the things that really increased my productivity was to really get rid of the busy work. I had to identify some of the things that I was doing that really didn't need to be done by me. I really started to focus more on the things that were going to move me closer to my goals. For example, a really big part of my job is to reach out and make connections with new people. And what I was doing was reaching out to them individually. However, we had someone on our team who actually could do it for us. Now, this was just an initial step. They would send out a message to those who liked a post. And if they responded, I could take over. That was a huge time saver. This would also keep me from overthinking because sometimes I would convince myself not to send a message. Now, because I passed this on to someone else, it eliminated that. Now that you know some of the common time wasters, I'm going to share a hack with you. It's called the universal prime time, and it's a way for you to take advantage of your physical and mental energy. Now, you may notice that there's a certain time of the day where you do feel that mental and physical energy. It's those times where you feel most motivated or inspired to take action. For example, I find that between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., I have the most clarity and I'm most motivated to take on some of the tasks of my work. So I make sure that between that time frame, I schedule the things that need most of my mental energy. I do coaching calls. I record podcasts, videos, anything that requires my creativity or my energy.
That idea of the universal prime time was a game changer for me. But you have to identify when your universal prime time is. For some people, it's at nighttime. For me, it's really early in the morning. But identifying when you have the most mental and physical energy will be a game changer. You'll be able to get more done in less time. So find out where your universal prime time is and protect that time at all costs. Now, people often ask us, what are some of the tools, some of the technology that you use to actually help you with managing your time? And we're going to keep this really simple. First off, there's a setting in your phone called Do Not Disturb. I know, pretty simple, right? But I can't tell you how often we get distracted when the beeps and the bings go off and we have to put out everybody else's fire. But if you can turn on Do Not Disturb, I can't tell you how much extra action I've taken and how many more results I've gotten just because I turned that setting on. Now, the second thing is that because Teresa and I are both entrepreneurs, and we probably would do this even without that, we actually share our calendars with one another because it's very helpful to see when her universal prime time is, when she needs to do her podcast, and when it's time for me to lean in and do my coaching calls or YouTube. And because we're able to share that information, we can actually double down by each spending time in our universal prime time. Now, I want to be real with you right now. You can't do it all. And that kind of sucks. Honestly, I sometimes want to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders and think that I can do it all. But the truth is when I try to do it all, I don't do anything well. That's why one of the biggest tips I'll give you when it comes to being an entrepreneur is to find out how to delegate and outsource. Delegate, yeah, you can even give something to your family, to a friend, to somebody who wants some allowance or maybe make a little bit of money. But then finding or creating a team is even more powerful. Somebody who is on a mission with you. They have their total buy-in, and a lot of times your business is moving forward even when you're not doing anything. Now, this one is a hard pill to swallow, especially as an entrepreneur. I know there's a lot of people who push back and say, no, I'm a one-person show. But think about all the things that you have to do that you absolutely hate doing, that drains your energy and takes up your time. Think about what it would feel like if you got that off your plate and how much more you would show up and take the actions that you want to take that actually move the needle forward. That's why delegating and outsourcing is always one of my top priorities.
Another important thing to talk about is setting boundaries. So what role do boundaries play in time management? Well, it helps you prioritize you and your life. If you're a people pleaser like I used to be, everyone else's priorities were my top priority. Anybody could call me at any time, reach out to me, ask me to do something, and I was there. The downfall to that is that I didn't have any more time to do the things that mattered to me until I finally realized that I have my limits. I have my goals. And the way I set and maintain my boundaries now is that I set expectations. People know beforehand what my boundaries are. This helps people respect my time, and it also allows me to spend time on things that really are important to me.
Such a critical point when it comes to setting boundaries. I also want to make sure that you know that boundaries are not just being set for you, they're also being set for the other person. Anytime that I have forgotten to set boundaries and then somebody infringes on my boundaries, there's this feeling of resentment or frustration or anger that comes up in me. I don't show up the way that I want to for the other person, which is why when we think about boundaries, we got to think about not only setting it for ourselves, but also setting for the people that we lead. And also don't set boundaries in the moment when you're frustrated. Wait for that feeling to leave and then set boundaries from a place of love instead of a place of anger. Now, you may have come away from this video already with a whole bunch of strategies, and we hope you have. But I want to let you know there's one incredibly important piece here that you have to be willing to lean into, and that is adapting to change. Whenever something new comes up in your life, whenever you go through a new season, it's time to take a look at your time management strategies and make adjustments along the way. There isn't one way that will work for the rest of your life. You have to be willing to make adjustments. For me personally, this is when I moved from being a full-time police officer and part-time entrepreneur into the full-time entrepreneur space. I had to completely redesign and figure out what I'm going to be doing and where. This is when taking my kids to and from school was something that I wanted to do, and I finally had an opportunity to do that. But I had to make sure that I protected the other times to make sure I can invest in my business, can connect with Teresa, and really take care of my health on the level that I needed to. And so adjustments needed to be made. That didn't mean it was pretty. There was a lot of mistakes that I made along the way and a lot of quote unquote failures. But it was all about the process of evolving and finding out what that thing was teaching me. So you have to be willing to adapt and change. So don't think that you're going to find one strategy that's going to work forever. Continue to evaluate it and level it up.
Now, you're going to face some challenges when it comes to time management. I know that my biggest challenge was that feeling of overwhelm. I wasn't even thinking about managing my time. It was just about getting everything done. But doing this over and over and over again, and at the end of the day, feeling like you didn't do anything at all, that was hard. I mean, I was working full-time, our kids were small, and Mark was a full-time police officer. And we were also running an online business. But out of all of these challenges, it actually gave us an opportunity to find what really worked for us. And a lot of these strategies and tips came out of those struggles.
We know you've had your struggles too, and we also know that you've come up with strategies that we'd love to hear about in the comments below. Now, you might get to this point and wonder how it is that we actually were able to delegate, hire, and train a team to help us take even more things off our plate so that we can lean into our superpowers and what we really enjoy doing the most. If that's the case, don't worry, we've got you covered. Tap the screen to watch this next workshop, how to hire, train, and delegate in your business for maximum productivity. And thank you for being here, entrepreneur. The world needs your leadership now more than ever. Keep leading from the front, and we'll see you in the next video.